Palestine begins, not with noise, but with breath. In this land, sound takes its time. Light arrives on tiptoe, and the earth, ancient and worn, remembers. Olive trees are the first to greet you, their trunks twisted with age, their leaves shimmering in silver whispers. These are not just trees, they are witnesses. They have seen seasons come and empires go. Some grew as prophets walked, others stood as borders shifted. And yet they remain, rooted, unmoved, offering fruit and shade without condition. In the early light, the hills of the West Bank stretch like a slow breath. Houses climb them in soft stone steps, their rooftops flat, their edges worn by time. A boy chases a goat between fig trees. A woman pours coffee into small porcelain cups, steam rising like memory. The call to prayer drifts from a distant minaret, not to command, but to remind. That presence is enough. This is Palestine in its quiet moments, when the world forgets to look, and the land is left to speak for itself. Welcome to a narrated discovery, a place where stories don't shout, they unfold, where stillness is not empty, but filled with meaning if you choose to listen. In a valley near Nablus, a shepherd leads his flock past a stone cistern. The sheep follow without question, bells chiming softly, dust lifting from their hooves. The shepherd walks slowly, not because he's tired, but because there is no need to rush. The sun will wait. The land will wait. Even the clouds seem patient. You sit on a sun-warmed rock, and it feels like the earth is holding you. No signs, no spectacle, just presence. A breeze passes, carrying the scent of time, warm soil, and something older, something you can't name. Not history, not faith, just belonging. And in that breath, you are no longer visiting, you are remembering. In the heart of Jerusalem's old city, the stones speak 1,000 tongues, not with sound, but with weight. The kind of silence that grows between footsteps in narrow alleys, where every worn stone has felt the passing of prophets, poets, pilgrims. You walk not on pavement, but through memory. The sun filters through latticework above the souk, casting golden patterns onto ancient walls. Vendors call softly, offering dates, spices, embroidered cloth. Not aggressively, but like an invitation to pause. The scent of cardamom, grilled meat, and sun-warmed citrus hangs in the air, like a story being told again and again, never quite the same. You turn a corner and find yourself before the western wall. A woman presses her forehead to the stone. A man sways gently, whispering words too soft to catch. Doves flutter overhead. It is not the grandeur of the wall that holds you. It is the surrender. The offering of silence to something larger than language. Further along, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre opens like a breath held for centuries. Its ceilings are darkened with candle smoke. Its floors are smoothed by knees and devotion. The air feels heavier here, not with sorrow, but with presence. You watch a hand touch the stone of anointing, and in that motion is an entire life. Yet outside, laughter returns quickly. Children chase each other along the Via Dolorosa. A bell rings from the Armenian quarter. The city breathes between reverence and rhythm, always both. Up on the Mount of Olives, the view stretches wide. The dome of the rock glows in afternoon sun, its golden dome reflecting not just light, but longing. Around you, olive trees twist and lean, catching the breeze like sails. From here, you don't see lines. You don't hear arguments. You feel layers. Jerusalem is not a city. It is a question asked in stone, and Palestine is not an answer. It is the echo that keeps the question alive. South of Jerusalem, the hills begin to roll, gentle, golden, marked by terraced fields and winding paths worn into the earth. In Bethlehem, the story shifts from stones to songs. You arrive not to witness a moment, but to feel a memory. The streets here are narrower, more intimate. Flower pots hang from windowsills. The air smells of warm bread and roasted sesame. In the Church of the Nativity, light filters through ancient windows, catching the dust in gentle spirals. Pilgrims line up in silence, waiting to kneel beneath low stone arches. The space is humble, no fanfare, no spectacle, only reverence that settles quietly into the bones. Outside, a boy plays an oud on the steps of a shop. His fingers know the strings like they know the sky, without looking. You stop, and time softens. Notes float upward into the air like prayer without form. And in that sound, you hear more than melody. You hear hope shaped by centuries. Beyond Bethlehem, the land opens into the Judean desert. Here, silence becomes vast. The sky grows taller. The hills roll in soft waves of beige and ochre, dotted with the occasional goat or shepherd's tent. The wind speaks in long sentences, curling around rocks and bones, shaping them with patience. You stand alone on a ridge, watching the sun slide low. There is no drama, just the steady unfurling of shadow and light. In the distance, the Dead Sea glimmers faintly. Its surface holds no waves, only stillness thick as glass. It is here you realize, this land does not give itself easily. You must wait, you must listen, and only then does it begin to trust you. Palestine is not what the headlines tell you. It is not the noise. It is the breath between. And in that breath, you begin to belong. Farther north in the valleys of Jenin and the hills of Sebastia, the land takes on a greener tone. Olive groves spread across slopes like brushstrokes, and fig trees lean quietly over stone ruins. There is something softer here, a pulse beneath the soil that hums of patience and persistence. In Jenin, the streets begin early. The smell of fresh za'atar bread and sweet tea with mint fills the air before the sun is fully awake. A father adjusts the strap of his son's backpack. A grandmother sweeps her doorstep, pausing to greet neighbors with a nod. The morning isn't rushed. It flows, like a slow stream finding its way. Nearby, the Freedom Theater opens its doors. Inside, young voices rehearse lines written by their own hands, stories born of laughter, defiance, longing. Their stage is not escape. It is reclamation. You sit in the back row, and though the words are in a language you don't fully understand, the meaning lands clearly. We are here. We imagine. Therefore, we exist. Beyond the town, Sebastia rests on a hill of memory. Roman columns still stand under the open sky. Wildflowers bloom between broken stones. Shepherds pass through these ruins with their flocks, unbothered by the centuries layered beneath their feet. Time here is not a straight line. It loops, it lingers, it repeats itself in whispers and footsteps. You watch a storm roll in across the valley. The wind picks up, stirring the olive branches, making them shimmer. Thunder sounds like a drumbeat from underground. And then, rain, soft and sudden. The land doesn't resist it. It drinks deeply, gratefully, as if remembering something lost. And you, standing in that moment, feel the same. You did not come here to learn facts. You came to remember feeling, to feel the way a field holds history without saying a word, to feel how presence can be a kind of resistance, to feel that even in brokenness, something beautiful endures. As you move westward toward the coast, the air shifts. It grows saltier, more restless. In Haifa and Jaffa, the Mediterranean breathes against the land with the rhythm of old stories. Stories carried in waves, not written in books. Jaffa wakes with the scent of sea and citrus. Fishermen mend nets along the harbor, their hands moving with the ease of repetition. Cats curl on sun-warmed stone. The streets are narrow, winding, filled with the faded blues and sandy tones of memory. A breeze rolls through like a sigh. You step into a bakery where sesame rings hang like golden halos, still warm from the oven. A woman smiles without words and hands you one wrapped in old newspaper. You walk the edge of the old port. Boats bob quietly. A gull cries above. In this moment, the city feels like a lullaby, one sung for centuries, always in a slightly different key. Jaffa doesn't shout its beauty. It trusts you'll notice. Farther north, Haifa climbs the slopes of Mount Carmel, its homes stacked like soft steps reaching for sky. At the Baha'i Gardens, silence is deliberate. Terraces spill downward with perfect symmetry, framed by cypress and flame trees. The view sweeps wide. The sea, the city, the hills beyond. Everything here feels held, balanced between discipline and awe. But the sea itself remains wild. Even in stillness, its undercurrent hums with freedom. Along the beach, footprints fade with each wave, as if the land accepts what passes without clinging. Children's laughter rings out over crashing surf, momentary and whole. You sit on a stone wall watching the horizon blur. A man beside you throws a pebble into the water. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The coast of Palestine is not just beautiful. It is defiant in its calm. It refuses to forget. And in its quiet pulse, it teaches you how to hold on, gently, without fear. South again, the Gaza Strip lies beside the same sea. But here the breeze carries a different weight. Not absence of beauty, but the density of everything that beauty must push through to be seen. You arrive not as a tourist, but as a witness. The streets are crowded with stories, not all of them easy. Buildings wear the wounds of too many yesterdays, and yet they still stand. Clotheslines stretch between balconies. Bougainvillea spills over broken walls. Laughter rises from alleyways. Children kick a ball made of string and tape. It flies farther than reason expects. In a small studio, an artist paints seagulls. Always seagulls. He says it's because they're never asked for permission to fly. His brushstrokes are quick, soft. The wings almost lift off the canvas. On a nearby table, tea steams in chipped cups. The sugar is stirred slowly. 1 circle, 2, 3, as if to sweeten what the world has made bitter. Along the shoreline, life pulses. Fishermen cast nets from battered boats. Couples walk hand in hand, shoes in one hand, silence in the other. The sea here doesn't ask questions. It simply offers space. And those who live beside it know, when nothing else is steady, the tide still returns. You sit in the sand as evening falls. The sun descends behind you, casting long shadows toward the open water. A boy builds a castle with wet sand, determined despite the waves. It collapses. He starts again. Not out of hope, not out of defiance, out of instinct. And you realize, this land doesn't wait to be saved. It lives. It creates. It endures. Palestine is not a place you visit. It is a place that visits you. In echoes, in winds, in the spaces between what was and what still might be. As the sun dips low in the sky, the land takes on a different shade, darker, more intimate. The old city of Hebron stretches beneath a vast sky, where history and humanity move in quiet procession. Here, the silence is not broken by the hum of cars or the bustle of hurried footsteps. It is broken by the rhythm of daily life, the tap of a hammer on stone, the clink of pottery being shaped by hand, the call of vendors hawking produce at the market. In the heart of Hebron, you walk through streets worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The walls of homes and shops are decorated with faded murals of olive trees, landscapes, and abstract shapes that seem to speak without words. The people of Hebron, though worn by years of struggle, move with dignity, their faces a mix of strength and sorrow. A merchant sits behind a stall, his hands covered in the dust of his trade. He sells dried figs, bread, and spices. His eyes are kind, but his gaze seems to look beyond you, as if to the past and the future at once. A child tugs at his sleeve, asking for a fig. The merchant smiles and hands it to him without a word. Near the cave of the patriarchs, a soft wind stirs the ancient stones, whispering secrets older than the city itself. It is here, in the quiet shadows of history, that you sense Palestine's heartbeat. It is not loud. It does not demand. It simply persists, like the olive tree that stands firm through every season, like the hands that continue to weave tapestries of resilience despite the unraveling threads of time. Even in the bustle of Hebron, the past and the present intertwine like roots beneath the soil, grounding everything in a shared sense of place. You stop for a moment, resting on a worn bench beneath the shade of an ancient fig tree. Above, the sky is ablaze with the last light of day. Below, the streets grow quieter as the evening prayer calls softly from the minaret. And in that moment, you realize, this land is not merely a place. It is a pulse, and it beats with everything that has ever walked here. Night descends not suddenly, but with care. It slips gently over rooftops, softens the outlines of cities, and draws a quiet curtain over the day. In Ramallah, the hills glow with scattered lights. Cafes hum with subdued conversation. The clink of glass, the rustle of pages, the low notes of oud music echo in the background. You step into a bookshop, its shelves lined with volumes in Arabic, English, French. A man reads poetry aloud, to no one in particular. His voice floats like smoke. You don't understand every word, but the emotion is unmistakable. Longing, rootedness, love, unshaken by grief. A young woman behind the counter lights a candle. It flickers once, then steadies. That, too, feels like a metaphor. On the outskirts, the hills are silent. Villages nestle in folds of earth, their outlines soft under the moon. Somewhere, a dog barks once, and then silence takes over again. The stars appear, not in a rush, but as if returning from far away. They blink into view, slow, patient, knowing. You walk a narrow road lined with almond trees. Their blossoms, pale in the dark, seem to glow with quiet resilience. Each step echoes softly against the stones, and for a moment, it feels as though the entire land is listening, not to what you say, but to what you carry. In a nearby home, a family gathers around a low table, bowls of lentil soup, flatbread still warm, pickled lemons, laughter, quiet and full, the kind of laughter that has nothing to prove, only to remember. A grandmother tucks a strand of hair behind a child's ear. A father pours tea. It is not ceremony, it is presence. And you, passing through, realize something sacred. That Palestine is not defined by struggle alone. It is defined by how people love despite it, by how they live between the lines, and make those lines beautiful. By dawn, the land exhales once more. A soft light spreads across the plains of Jericho, low and golden, warming the oldest city in the world. Here, time doesn't move forward. It circles. It coils back on itself in layers of sand and silence. The mountains glow pink on their edges. Palm trees lean slightly, like old men in quiet conversation with the sky. You stand near the ruins of Hisham's palace, where mosaic floors sleep beneath dust and age. The sun touches them gently, revealing fragments of ancient symmetry, vines, animals, stories told in stone. You imagine hands placing each piece centuries ago, not for glory, but for the simple act of creating something that lasts. Further east, the Jordan River winds through reeds and stillness. Its water is modest, almost shy, flowing with the humility of something sacred. A man stands waist-deep, eyes closed, hands open to the sky. He doesn't speak. He just stands. You watch without interrupting. Some moments are too whole to need words. And in that stillness, something shifts. You begin to understand that Palestine is not just a land of loss. It is a land of memory, of presence, of people who build lives from fragments and plant seeds where others see only dust. In the distance, the desert waits, still, unshaped, but alive. And Palestine, in its quiet, unwavering way, continues to breathe. Not in defiance, but in devotion, to the land, to the story, to the truth that lives in silence.